Alright, so we're back at it. I'm getting back into Akira today. Let me start this from the beginning here. And this is a good part of the film because we start to really get into Tetsuo's transformation. And what we see here. So this is at the point where, he's gotten out of the hospital, right? So he's already killed. He's already started to manifest that part of him. And what kind of accompanies this is this whole world of violence that these kids are really in. This is kind of the amazing thing about what's going on here. After his girlfriend gets beaten, you can see he really wants that get back. This is where he is. He's all about the get back, right? Where he's starting to beef with his own homeboys. And this is where I had mentioned earlier where this dynamic between these two was starting to be more like a true rivalry than like a friendship that had gone bad, right? He's so consumed in himself. Now, there are some things that are going on with him that I think kind of fit the narrative of some actual mythology here. All right, let me pull this up here. Yeah, you be getting beat all the time, right? So what we kind of see out of Tetsuo during this next 30 minutes, obviously he escapes the facility and he's kind of morphing into like a god type character at this point. He starts unleashing his power. He kills guards, he escapes in a rage. We kind of give him slack because he doesn't really know what's happening to him. And that's kind of the most terrifying part. Now, what it makes me think of him escaping with this power, he gets out of control. This kind of reminds me of like Set's rebellion, right? This is what he is. And in this role between him and Tetsuo, he kind of plays the Set character. I mean, that's who he is, right? He's Set more than anything else. And now we're starting to see him just unleash that power. He's extremely violent. He's very angry, right? So there's a lot going on with him in terms of like just what's going on in his head, right? Try to get to... And as you see him like really kind of going through a lot of pain. And this is like God powers manifesting. So he's physically starting to manifest all the powers of being a god. Now, unfortunately for him, he doesn't understand this. So it starts to kind of drive him crazy. You can see the visions and things that he's having. And he starts to, start to hear the voice of, or the name Akira more and more. Now, Akira really becomes a god in this sense. He really is a god in this sense. So he's back with the military. See, Tetsuo gets jacked up by the military. So the presence of the military, the fascist state, is very prevalent. It's one of the most powerful components of the story that these, our protagonists are dealing with. You can see they try to protest back, but again, with the fascist state, there's nothing they can really do about it, right? So this is kind of a classic story in that sense. I mean, where, look, you getting beat down by the FBI agents. And it's funny that these look very much like what we're used to here in the West, or at least in America, when we think of federal agents. That entire look, and just like the whole demeanor, beat you down, take your boy, roll out. Just, you never see eyes. They're very angry. But there's really nothing that they can do. And kind of shook by it, right? They kind of start to disrupt his whole crew. Doesn't want anything. Doesn't want to be around girls. This is really changing the entire dynamic. And again, the violence in the background, right? There's the instability in the background. So we're building a lot of layers to what's going on in the story. This is the resistance here. I mean, going up against the actual like military. So these young people are taking on a lot in their roles with this. Now, this is where you kind of really start to get into understanding their resistance and this young lady, Kay, who's extremely important. And to me, if I had to put this into a kind of a mythological sense, like, she's almost Athena-like. She's kind of cast as being this warrior. She's very virtuous. She's not really into any of the nonsense that, like, kind of in contrast is all about. Like, he's all about all the nonsense, the motorcycles, the violence, all that stuff. It will change for him, but you can see now, as this is going on, like, this is a central character, and he really gets into her, right? And her mission kind of becomes his, and then they kind of merge. So, you know, now I think this is very symbolic. These guys in the sewer, actually in the sewer, right, trying to pursue some kind of justice. They're getting faced down by armed men all the time, so they have to really stick together. And this is a big moment here where Kaneda kind of jumps the guy, and she ends up having to shoot him. Right? Again, it's symbolic. He's covered in this filth, like from the underworld. And she has to save his life, and ultimately ends up taking a life. And you can see she's kind of traumatized. But now this is their bond. They're bonded together. They're in this together. He would have died. She did what she had to do to save his life. Right? So there's a lot going. Now back to my man. Now this is where, of course, the heart of the film is him going back into his flash. This is kind of he's starting to really tap into some of his memories, and this starts to tell us who he is and this interesting relationship that he has with Kaneda, right? He obviously starts off in the orphanage, and he's remembered, like, at his weakness. This is a character that's kind of defined by his own weakness, right? So this trip back to this is obviously young Kaneda, and this is them out, you know, just kind of getting their play on. This is kind of one of the better times. The way he tells the story, this is one of the better times in his life. So it's ironic that he would then hate all that. But you see, even his memories are corrupted by what's happening to him now. And this is the big part. I'm having a nice dream. Remember me and the homie, and it all starts to fall apart. Now, obviously, this is just way too much. He doesn't understand what's going on. He doesn't understand the why. But in real time, he's actually dealing with all this nonsense. And you know, and this okay. So now we get back into back to the espers, which I think are one of the more important components. Right? These are kind of the oracles, whereas Akira is more of like a true god. And this doctor here, and this and the military, they just play a role in facilitating. But again, this theme of this ancient looking being that also manifests as looking like a child at the same time. And even she's got the doll. Like, are you old or are you young? We don't really know with who this character is. But we know she's important. She seems to give wise words. And she just says his power is too great. He has godlike power. That's what they're unleashing. Obviously, the military just wants it for control. It's funny they got all this technology, but they're printing out on a strip of a paper here. Again, it's the future, but we didn't really understand what the future was going to look like. But this becomes important because these dolls here that you see on screen, those will be weapons for them later in an important conflict with Akira. So I think this is where they're going to look at Akira's remains. And at this point, like, again, this is a movie entitled Akira. At this point, we still have not seen this character. So this is kind of a unique form of storytelling where you would think the story would be about the main protagonist, but they're not in light of Akira. This whole scene, he's kind of explaining what they've gone through since the time that the world was destroyed until now, how long it's been, how hard it's been to go back from having a society, a civilization, to all of it essentially ending, to building this whole thing back up, and how difficult it has been. What do you want to look at here? I'm assuming this is where they go and look at Akira's remains. It's freezing cold in here. I don't know if you notice, his breath, it's freezing cold in this room. So number 28. Akira, number 28. So, he was a lab created experiment. So this kind of gets into the story. It's ultimately science that was the problem. They created him and he got out. Akira, he was just too powerful. So again, this is a big moment when, Kay links back up with her resistance crew. Yeah, you can see how this guy's looking at Kaneda right now. They're very skeptical of him. And they should be. I mean, really, they should be. So they're formulating a plan, obviously, to go in there and disrupt this experiment. They understand. So this is when the two sides, Kaneda and Kay, start to merge in the things that their goals are actually going to be aligned. Why is Akira 28 and Tetsuo is 26? So kind of hears all this stuff. Obviously, Tetsuo is his friend, or was his friend. He wants to know what's going on. So it's a binding moment for these two. Like all of a sudden, this reluctant hero, who is kind of, I've been struggling to find out who I really think is a reflection of him. But this reluctant hero who now has to like completely change his ways. It's interesting. This is a scene that they walk by, and there's a lot of like kids making out in Akira. I don't. You notice there was early in the bar scene, and it's really a story more and more about just like the decay of civilization. Like you're seeing what it's manifesting into. And it's interesting for an advanced culture. They're very much science against the people, and this is really reflecting. You can see they're going back to like some very spiritual kind of times. This guy's got a big fro, and the worship of Akira. This is a big part of the movie, and why it has such significance because of this worship. And you can see the soldiers just come right in. They don't give a damn about none of that. They're just beating people down. And it's funny that a lot of this comes down to the conversation about funding, right? Obviously, the colonel wants much to keep the program going, and they're very against it. Yeah, they're getting after it, man. This is a powerful scene. This is just all politics coming to fruition. This guy, like the military, is really getting checked by the policies. And he probably is wrong. All right, if you've seen this scene here, this is a powerful scene. Again, Tetsuo's been recaptured, and the dreams are really coming at him hard. Where I talked about these bears or these stuffed animals. Yeah, this guy's about to die. He's here to replace his cable. He doesn't know he's going down and mess with Akira's room. Oh, these are rebellion guys. Okay, I forgot about... Okay. So this is the resistance actually, doing some work getting into facilities. Now it starts. Now it starts. This I thought was a kind of a chilling scene. Like again, it plays with that child play, but these very godlike beings who are still playing with toys, like literally. And you got to think about what's going on in Tetsuo's head right now. This is a straight power play. Obviously, these creatures are powered by the espers, and we get to see that. But they got him on the run, right? He's really fearing their power. Again, the oversized Lego, it's all this like demented kind of child world that they're leveraging against him. Obviously, he doesn't understand what's going on. A giant car walking out of here. Look at the look on his face. This just bust open, just spills whatever this is, right? So this is like reality warping. We're seeing a lot of stuff going on in terms of the godlike powers that we get from these espers, these children. But this is where it happens at. He's more powerful. At the end of the day, he's more powerful than all of them, right? Now I understood what it was with the blood, but when they see the blood, it drives them off. Right. So I guess they were coming to kill him, and it just didn't work out. So I don't know what you think you're going to do then, because he is more powerful. And now you see him starting to reach out with his own mind. He's feeling his power now, and he's angry. He's got these big bulgy veins in his head. So we can kind of see this is just building up to a big blowout. Automatic locks are off. So they send, what do? You send the crew down here. This is a problem these guys didn't need, man. They had no idea. Look at that. And just destroys these guys. Like, this is intense. Look at that. Again, back in the sewers, and just how gross it is, like what it means to act. Like, I mean, I've never been down in the sewers, and I'm telling you guys, I would not want to go. So again, more violence between the resistance and the military's come down here with even more firepower. Yeah, they're sending him back up. It's problematic for his crew right now. I mean, this is it. The resistance. You're on the ground. At least they have guns, but you're shooting against, high-powered vehicles, capable of flight. I mean, I wish I could play the soundtrack music. It's so compelling with what's going on the screen. Oh, he's hearing about yeah. So they're on the military band, and they're obviously talking about Tetsuo because, meanwhile he's setting it off. Like, you see, they're going full on, and just none of this is going to work against him, right? That's how powerful he's already gotten at this point, and he just got his powers. I mean, you don't want no problems with this dude. Like, look at him, man. I mean, now his power just a flex, and look at what's going on with his powers now. Cannot let him go any further. Man, he's a full-on menace now. At this point, he's totally out of control. This is already too bad. This is just havoc that he's wreaking at this point. And now, of course, he goes and finds the Espers. They're back. Obviously, the toy dolls mark them, but he's already not having it. You can see how mad he is, even that they're even doing this. And just like his power is way too much for them already at this point. He just got his powers yesterday, and he already figured out everything he needs to know to kick your ass. Yeah, this is a cold one right here. I think this is a good spot. We're gonna pause today. Obviously, my man's been through a lot. Like, he's starting to fully manifest his powers, just coming to awakening. There's a lot of symbolism we'll talk about later. This is just part 2. Like I said, we got 2 more parts we'll go through as we get deep dive on Akira. Please join me at the channel on YouTube. I'll drop the links in the video. But look forward to getting back into this video about Akira and just kind of breaking down all the mythology and symbolism in this great, iconic anime.